Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission?
Carolina, Greensboro, and
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Sessions. My name is Avital. I'm your host for today's episode, and I'm really excited to be speaking with Maddy Boroughs, who's the Program and Social Media Specialist at InFocus Advocacy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's our pleasure. So why don't we dive right in? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Maddy Boroughs. I am a licensed and certified recreational therapist. I am an alumni from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and I currently work for InFocus Advocacy as their program and social media specialist.
Amazing. And can you tell us a little bit more about InFocus Advocacy?
Yeah, so InFocus Advocacy, we're a local nonprofit in Greensboro, North Carolina. We kind of tackle our business in a few different ways, and we do that through preparing businesses, empowering self-advocates, and designing inclusive programming. So what that really looks like is when it comes to preparing businesses, a particular business may have a specific need, or maybe they want some education. We've also done a variety of presentations and things at different city council type events, and we just pretty much cater towards their needs, so we could tackle that through talking about universal design, attitudinal barriers. We could talk about language. I mean, the range just goes on and on. We could talk about anything that they may want. And then as far as empowering self-advocates, we do that through the business, preparing the businesses. So all of our self-advocates and consultants, individuals living with a disability, they're all paid in whatever we're doing. And it's just an opportunity for them to share their experiences, share their perspectives. Something that we really value in the disability community is having a voice at the table. And so this is an opportunity for them to do that as well. And then as far as designing inclusive programming, one of our biggest, I guess you could say, mottos is changing lives through inclusive communities. So we're really big in just getting out in the community, and we have an event coming up where we're going to have a reconnecting event and have everyone come out and play bocce and cornhole. And so we do a lot of fun stuff like that. And then we've also done book clubs in the past. We've done mom and focus groups where people meet, and it's just an opportunity to connect, and an opportunity to hear out different people, hear different stories. And so that's one of my favorite things, obviously, as I'm the program and social media specialist. So social media has also been new for InFocus Advocacy within the past few years. So that's been a really fun experience that we've been able to broaden our horizons. And I think the whole point in it is just to share voices and share perspectives of people that are marginalized and that don't always have a voice at the table. So we really pride ourselves in doing that. And it's just awesome. It's amazing work. I love watching people grow into confidence. And so you see that a lot. And it just, it's like being in the business of talking to people, and who doesn't love doing that and getting to learn about their experiences, what they've gone through. And so, yeah, that's what we do.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of different things.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what motivated you to become a part of the organization?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, I am a graduate from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. InFocus Advocacy, we have two co-founders and executive directors, Dr. Stuart Schlein and Ginger Walton. They are phenomenal. Give them a little shout out. But I was actually in Dr. Stuart Schlein's class, and it was about underrepresented groups. And I think I was a senior at this time in school, and he had invited Ginger with a group of panelists, all individuals with disabilities, to kind of just speak about what it's like to live with a disability, maybe stereotypes that people make about them, and really just an opportunity for them to share their voice. And I remember it was probably like 6 individuals or so. Um, and what some people don't know about me is that I have a younger sister, Grace, with Down syndrome, and her and I are like best friends. I mean, she's inspired me to do everything. She's just my heart behind all of it. And so I remember sitting in that class and they had the group of panelists and everyone kind of like shared where they were in life. They had asked different questions and I was just so blown away because even being a senior, an undergrad, like I had never been a part of something like that, or I'd never witnessed something like that where an opportunity for a marginalized group was presented in front of me where they got to like share their voices. And I just remember thinking like, my sister could do this one day, and this is just so amazing. Like it touched me in a lot of different ways. There were people my age, there were people that were older. I mean, just the diversity of the panelists in general, and just to hear everybody's stories. So I ended up messaging my professor at the time, Dr. Schlein, and I just thanked him for doing something like that. I was like, I never see this. This was just awesome to be a part of. And as a family member, sometimes I grew up in the South, and so there aren't as many, I don't think, like inclusive opportunities and things like that. There's a lot of segregation, there's a lot of isolation. And so that was something that I just like commended them on and was like, this is really great that you guys do this. And I remember him messaging me back and saying, do you want to get coffee or something? And I met with him and Ginger, both the founders and executive directors of InFocus, and was kind of just presented with an opportunity that I jumped to. So
That's amazing.
yeah, and I had never really worked in social media or done anything like that. And I thought, you know what, I'll learn and I'll do it and I'll chase after it, because I think at the end of the day, it came back to where my heart was at. And I had a lot of passion going into this field. And I always knew that I wanted to work with people with disabilities. I just didn't know what that looked like. And so it just felt like an opportunity that I could not pass up. And it's the best thing that I have done.
That's amazing. And even, I feel like every question or every answer that you've given so far, your level of passion just like increases as you continue to talk about the work that you're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really amazing and really leads me to my next question, which is there a specific memorable moment or story from your time working at InFocus Advocacy that has really had a lasting impact on you?
So this is a phenomenal question because I can think of so many circumstances, and we've done so many trainings in the times that I've been with them. And so each time we do a training, I feel like I learn something new from someone, or, just a different perspective, a different experience. One that really comes to mind is we have a really great self advocate. His name is Trey. And I remember being at a specific conference, and he brought up how when he was younger, he had a
Mm-hmm.
doctor tell his parents that he would never be able to walk or talk, or do anything that a typically able bodied person would be doing. And he
Right.
was like, I would love to, and he had even said, I would love to meet this doctor, look him in the eye, and say, hi, I'm the person that you told would
Mm-hmm.
never be able to do anything. And it was just such a wow moment because I felt like that probably happens so often, of this underestimation of, someone, oh, they're not going to be able to do that. I remember when my mom was pregnant with my sister, and they had said, we weren't sure if she's going to live, throughout your pregnancy, or if she's going to, once she was born, it was like, oh, she may have a few weeks. And there was just always this underestimation factor. And I feel like in this field, and working with different consultants and self advocates from InFocus, it's just like debunked every single stereotype, every barrier. And just to witness that and hear that is so amazing. And also just the passion behind it. No one is telling them that they should feel this way, or you should really tell that doctor to, look at me, I've done this. It's more of the intrinsic. You can see that just like flow through. And I think, that just happens all the time of people being underestimated, and then individuals with disabilities being like, I don't know why you underestimate me. I'm capable of just as much as you are. And so that story in general is just a really, really big one. And then you also have, we talk about physical access a lot. So inclusion, I feel, is very intentional. I think that to be inclusive, you have to be intentional in that. And so we've had different trainings where we've talked about access and accessibility. And it's so much more than physical access. Yes, our individual who utilizes a wheelchair should be able to get into the bathroom and shut her stall door, even though we've been to numerous trainings where she hasn't, which is a problem. But it's more than just that physical access. It's the attitudes. It goes back to the stereotypes. It goes back to fear and pity and second class citizens and hero worship and ableism and all those type of things. It's so important to just realize that all of that is just debunk it all. Let's get rid of it all. I mean, all it does is hold people back. And, people with disabilities are people. And so it's just about getting to know them and not putting barriers on them before you've even spoken to them or know them.
Definitely. And if everybody could do just one bit to make the world more inclusive, what do you think that could be?
That's a really great question. I think there's so many things that people can do. One thing I will say that I've noticed that I've implemented in my life. You hear a lot of people, the R word is really big, that people kind of know about and not to say. At least most people. It's really rooted in ignorance. I'll just throw that out there. But I think people can watch and learn their language. And like I said with the R word, I have met people in my life who might have said that in a conversation, and I've said, hey, do you know what that's rooted in? Do you know the history behind that? Do you know that I have a sibling with a disability, and that word holds her back? That word stereotypes her. That's not, please don't use that word around me. And I've noticed this domino effect. I've made one comment, and at the time, is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like, oh, it was a joke. You hate to, poke the balloon, and everyone's having fun. But it's so important, because when I've stepped up and when I've said something, all it does is it's a domino effect. And then when they are around other people, they then say, hey, that's not really a nice word. Let's not say that. Just the education behind that. And I've seen that in my own life. I remember when I first met my now fiance, I think he had like made a comment or something like that, maybe doing games or I don't know, something like that. And I had said something to him and was like, hey, let's not say that word. And he's gotten to know my sister and love her. And now when his friends or when he's on gaming or whatever, he'll say something. And it's such a wow moment, because people are really taken back, and it does a lot of self-reflection. It's like, oh, that's right. We shouldn't say that. Oh, and I've noticed within our circle of friends and then abroad, like people don't use it anymore. And it's just that education behind it. And it's so important that I just think everyone could implement that. One thing is just don't be afraid, stand up and take a stance, because at the end of the day, you can be a voice for people who may not have been there to voice it for themselves. And so I think that's really important, is we've really got to watch our language. Language is the lens in which people view people. How we speak about someone, that's how they're then perceived. And so, when we're using words like wheelchair bound, that does nothing but hold someone back. They're not bound to a wheelchair. They utilize a wheelchair, but they're not bound to it. And so I think it's really important to watch that language, and also just not put so much pressure in, saying the right thing, doing the right thing, but just having a good heart through it all. I think that really shines through, and just getting to know people for who they are, not because of
Definitely.
what they may look like or use.
Right. And I completely agree with you. It's something that we say here pretty often, that accessibility is a journey, not a destination.
Yes.
And making the world more inclusive, more accessible is definitely, goes along that it's not just that we get to a point and that's it, we're done. We don't need to work, on inclusive language anymore, or inclusive spaces or accessible spaces. It's something that should always be worked on, and we should always be, trying to improve that, to make spaces, language, physical spaces, whatever that might be, digital spaces, more accessible. So if anybody would like to get in touch with you or be involved with InFocus Advocacy, how can they go about doing so?
Yeah, so you can find us on our website. It's infocusadvocacy.org. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at infocus.advocacy. And
Great.
yeah, you can reach out, say hi. We love to meet new people. We love to share stories. So please reach out and find us.
Amazing. We'll definitely have all that information in the show notes. Maddie, it was such a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you.
The work that you guys are doing is really amazing. And like I said earlier, you can really see your passion shining through. So thank you so much for that. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.